They had defeated creatures made of living metal. They had brought entire civilizations to their knees, with nothing more than the sight of their war fleet. High Commander Sirach stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Silence, and watched the blue planet grow larger on the viewing screen. Earth. Such a small world, such a young species. This would be easy. "Show me the reports again," he said to his intelligence officer. The officer, a thin Velrath named Talk, pulled up the data they had collected over 30 years of observation. Images of human cities appeared on the screen. Images of human weapons. Images of human wars. "They fight each other constantly," Talk explained. "They divide themselves by the color of their skin, by invisible lines on their maps by which invisible gods they pray to. They have nuclear weapons, but they use them on their own kind. They poison their own air and water. They are by every measure a primitive and self-destructive species." Sirach nodded slowly. He had seen this pattern before. Young species often destroyed themselves before they could reach the stars. The Velrath were simply speeding up the process. "Their weapons?" he asked. "Projectile-based, mostly chemical explosives, some energy weapons in early development, but nothing that can touch our shields. Their fastest ships cannot even leave their own solar system. They have no planetary defense grid, no orbital stations with weapons. They are completely unprepared. How long until complete subjugation?" Toxic checked his calculations. 6 rotations. High Commander. Perhaps 5, if they surrender quickly. Cirque allowed himself a small smile. 6 rotations. He had spent longer waiting for his morning meal. This conquest would add another world to the Dominion's collection. Another species to serve as workers and soldiers. The Council would be pleased. "Begin the approach," he ordered. All 400 ships in standard formation. Let them see what comes for them. The fleet moved as one, emerging from the dark side of Earth's moon like a swarm of metal insects. They blocked out the stars. They filled the sky above every major city on the planet. On Earth below, billions of humans looked up and saw death hanging above them. Air raid sirens began to wail in every language. News channels switched to emergency broadcasts. People ran through the streets screaming, crying, praying. Crack watched it all on his screens and felt nothing but satisfaction. This was always his favorite part. The moment when a species realized how small they truly were. "Open a channel," he commanded. "All frequencies." The communication officer nodded and activated the broadcast system. Sirach's voice would now reach every radio, every television, every phone on the planet below. "People of Earth," he began using the standard subjugation speech that had worked on so many worlds before. "I am High Commander Sirach of the Velrath Dominion. Your world now belongs to us. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your armies cannot stop us. You have 1 hour to surrender your governments and your military forces. If you comply, many of you will be allowed to live. If you resist, we will burn your cities to ash and take what we want anyway. The choice is yours." He cut the transmission and leaned back in his command chair. Now came the waiting. On other worlds, the surrender offers usually arrived within minutes. Leaders begged for mercy. Generals offered their own people as slaves in exchange for their own lives. It was always the same. But the minutes passed and no surrender came. Sirach frowned. "Are our communications working?" "Yes, High Commander. They received the message. All of their broadcast channels have gone silent." "Silent?" "Yes. Every station on the planet stopped transmitting at the same moment 90 seconds ago. That was strange." Indigenution? Sirach had never seen a species respond to invasion with silence. Usually there was panic, chaos, conflicting messages from different governments. But this was something else. This was coordination. Then a single transmission cut through the silence. It came from somewhere in the mountain range the humans called the Rockies. The voice was calm, steady, and spoke in perfect Vel. "You have made a mistake." Cirque laughed. He could not help it. The absurdity of a primitive species threatening the most powerful military force in the galaxy was too much. "They learned our language," Toke said quietly. "From our scout ship transmissions. They have been listening to us for years. It does not matter what language they speak. Sarek replied. They will learn to speak it on their knees. Deploy the first wave. Standard ground assault take the major cities. Across the fleet, drop ships began to launch, thousands of them carrying millions of soldiers. They fell toward Earth like burning rain, aimed at New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo, and 100 other cities. Cirque watched them descend and felt completely confident. He had done this many times. He knew exactly how it would go. The humans would fight at first, as all species did. They would realize they could not win, they would break, they would surrender. And then the Velrath would own another world. He did not know that in bunkers deep beneath the earth, human generals were not preparing to surrender. They were preparing something else, entirely. He did not know that human scientists had spent 30 years studying the Velrath scout ships, learning their technology, finding their weaknesses. He did not know that human leaders had set aside their differences the moment the fleet appeared. Old enemies shook hands. Ancient grudges were forgotten. Every nation on Earth agreed on exactly one thing. They would not kneel. Cirque stared at the blue planet below and saw the prize waiting to be claimed. He did not see the trap that was about to close around him. He did not understand what humanity really was, but he would learn. They all would. The first reports from the ground confused the Velrath commanders. Ground Commander Veith stood in his mobile command center outside what had been New York City and read the messages 3 times before he believed them. What do you mean they are advancing? He demanded. They are pushing forward, Commander, his lieutenant replied. Our eastern units have taken heavy casualties. The humans are not retreating. Veith shook his head. This made no sense. The Velrath had superior weapons, superior armor, superior numbers. Any logical species would fall back, regroup, and eventually surrender. But the humans were attacking. He pulled up the battle footage on his screen and watched in disbelief. Human soldiers charged across open ground toward positions. Many of them fell. Most of them fell. But the ones who survived kept coming. They did not slow down. They did not hesitate. They ran toward certain death with their teeth bared and their eyes burning with something V8 had never seen before. One human pilot flew his damaged aircraft directly into a Velrath walker. The explosion killed the pilot instantly. But it also destroyed the walker and the 50 soldiers inside it. Another human, a young male with blood running down his face, strapped explosives to his chest and ran into a Velrath battalion. He was laughing as he pressed the trigger. Laughing. Veith felt something cold move through his chest. He had fought many species across many worlds, he had seen bravery, and he had seen fear. But he had never seen anything like this. These humans were not just willing to die. They seemed almost eager for it as long as they could take Velrath with them. Commander, another officer rushed into the tent. We have a problem in the civilian zones. What kind of problem? The civilians are fighting. Veith stared at him. Civilians do not fight. Civilians flee or surrender. Not these civilians. The officer showed him footage from a residential area. An old human female, her hair white with age, fired a primitive projectile weapon from an upper window. She killed 2 Velrath soldiers before they located her and destroyed the building. In another clip, human children led a Velrath patrol into a narrow street, then disappeared through holes in the walls while hidden humans collapsed the buildings on top of the soldiers. Farmer, in the European region called Ukraine, had destroyed an entire landing craft. He had mixed chemicals from his farm with stolen fuel, created a massive explosion, and killed everyone aboard. The farmer died in the blast, but witnesses said he was smiling. Veith contacted the other ground commanders. The reports were the same everywhere. In Beijing, elderly humans blocked the streets with their bodies, while younger ones moved weapons through underground tunnels. In Moscow, factory workers converted their machines to produce ammunition and worked through the night while bombs fell around them. In Tokyo, office workers traps and ambushes, using nothing but furniture and kitchen knives. The Velrath were winning the battles technically. They had better technology. They had more soldiers. They controlled more territory with each passing hour, but they were paying a price they had never paid before. For every city they captured, they lost thousands of soldiers. For every human they killed, 10 more seemed to appear. And the humans were learning. On the third day, a Velrath soldier was killed by a weapon that burned through his armor like paper. The weapon had been assembled from pieces of crashed Velrath equipment rebuilt by human hands in a basement workshop. On the fifth day, humans found a way to jam Velrath communications in 3 different regions. On the 7th day, a human sniper killed a Velrath commander from 2 kilometers away using a modified rifle that should not have been able to fire that far. Veith requested a meeting with High Commander Sirach. The initial estimates were wrong, he reported. These humans adapt faster than any species we have ever encountered. Every tactic we use against them, they find a counter within days. Every weapon we deploy, they find a weakness within a week. Creed at the reports. They are primitives. How is this possible? I do not know, High Commander, but I am beginning to believe we misunderstood something fundamental about them. Explain. Veith chose his words carefully. We observed them fighting each other for decades. We thought this was a sign of weakness, a sign of a species that could not unify, could not cooperate, could not pose a threat. He paused. I think we were wrong. I think their constant fighting did not make them weak. I think it made them strong. Craze said nothing, so Veith continued. Every generation of humans has known war. Their entire history is written in blood. They have fought over land, over resources, over ideas. They have invented new ways to kill each other for thousands of years. War is not strange to them. It is familiar. It is comfortable. No species is comfortable with war. This one is VTH pulled up more footage. A human soldier badly wounded dragged himself across the ground to recover his fallen weapon. A human doctor operated on injured fighters while bombs exploded outside her window. Human children carried messages through war zones, slipping pastel patrols like ghosts. They do not see death the way other species do, Veith said. They do not fear it the way they should. They have a word in their languages. Many words actually for dying in battle. They treat it as something noble, something to be desired. Cirque studied the footage in silence. His confidence so unshakable at the start of the invasion was beginning to crack. How long until victory? He finally asked. Veith could not meet his eyes. I do not know, High Commander. Every day we fight them, they grow stronger. Every loss they suffer makes them angrier. I have never seen anything like it. He did not say what he was thinking. He was beginning to wonder if victory was possible at all. 3 months into the invasion, the Velrath controlled only a small portion of Earth. Their maps showed Richery in red, and each day the red areas grew smaller. High Commander Crack stood on his bridge and watched the reports come in, each one worse than the last. The humans had broken through Velrath shield technology. A team of scientists working in an underground bunker in Switzerland had spent weeks studying captured equipment. They found the frequency patterns that powered the shields. They built devices to disrupt them. Within a month, Velrath soldiers who had once walked through human bullets like rain were dying in the streets. Captured plasma weapons appeared in resistance hands across the planet. The humans could not build them yet, but they could use them. They could modify them. A.